Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about yet another divide in the Republican Party that is starting to surface. Yet another little disagreement between old school GOP and that newer faction of the Republican Party. This particular division centers on Lindsey Graham, of all people. If you've missed it, Graham and some other senators have spoken publicly and basically said, yeah, we don't really think they have it. That whole impeachment inquiry into Biden, yeah, we don't think they have the evidence there. Narrative's kind of falling apart type of thing. This is really bad for the House Republicans who are big on social media engagement because they have promised their base an impeachment. And the reality is to have Republican senators up on Capitol Hill being like, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. It's doomed from the start. That indicates that they don't actually have the evidence that they said they had. If you can't convince other Republicans on Capitol Hill, odds are you're not going to be able to convince the American people, right? So that faction of the Republican Party, very upset with senators basically saying, yeah, we haven't seen the evidence. The space laser lady, she was speaking, and how can Lindsey Graham in Washington, D.C. on Meet the Press say that he hasn't seen a smoking gun of evidence? That he doesn't think we've produced enough evidence to impeach Joe Biden. And then she asked the crowd, do you think we have enough evidence or something like that? And they all cheered. And then she says, well, I think somebody else better run for senator in South Carolina. See, that's weird. That whole chain of events, that's strange, right? Because if you're in the situation where you can't even convince other Republicans that you have the evidence, what would you want to do if you had it? If you had that evidence and you had a platform like this at that moment and you were able to speak to a whole bunch of people at once, you could address the idea that you don't have any evidence by listing it, right? By being like, our evidence is this and this and this. But that's not what happened. What happened was, we're going to primary you. Yeah, okay. I'm sure he's really going to care about that in 2026. The problem that the MAGA faction of the Republican Party has is that most Republicans, those that didn't really just fall off and completely sign over their thought process, they've heard this before. Oh, we have the evidence. You'll see it the Thursday after next. Right? They've heard that. They've heard it since 2020. And that evidence never came. I don't know that they're going to fall for it again. If they do, I will have underestimated them. It seems unlikely that they will allow the same group of people to trick them yet again and play them yet again. Because they've heard this same thing when it came to evidence about the election that never showed up. And they're asking for them to fall for the same gimmick while it's being discussed in court that evidence never showed up. And it's being illustrated over and over again. Seems like a bad strategy. It's worth remembering that Lindsey Graham's been up there a long time. He's no McConnell, like when it comes to political strategy. But he has made it up on Capitol Hill for quite some time. And he does not see the value in playing along with this little stunt. I would imagine it's because he's been up there long enough to know that, generally speaking, those stunts, when they fail, they benefit the person they were trying to impeach. he doesn't want to suffer the backlash from it because, he has a primary he has to worry about in 2026. So this is yet another example of that divide surfacing. It is going to become more and more pronounced. When people talk about the Republican Party, if you want to really have that analysis make sense, you're going to have to differentiate between the two factions because they're not on the same team. They have similar goals, but they're looking at it through very, very different eyes now. That division is something that is going to matter in the elections over the next, maybe even out to 2026. Maybe. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.